Continuing pirkei avot Shemai v'Avtalion kiblu mehem. So we learned Shemai and Avtalion received the Torah from Yehuda ben Taboy and Shimon ben Shetach. Shemaiah says, Ahovis hamalacha, love work, usna es harabanus, and either this means hate positions of authority, or literally it may mean hate the rabbinate, not the rabbis, but the position. We'll explain. I'm not sure it needs explanation. We'll explain. V'al tizvad l'rashos, and do not become familiar or make yourself known to the government. Very important ideas. Last night we spoke about from Rav Hirsch. Rav Hirsch explains the theme here is the importance of personal independence, so that you will not be swayed with your principles. Ahovis hamalacha, love work, love your job, love to make the money, not for the money, but to be financially independent for the purpose of not succumbing to pressure of having to bend your principles for the sake of getting money out of other people. You have that independence, so you will be able to make your own moral decisions with much less pressure. And usna rabbanos, and we learned hate the positions of authority, because there too there's a lot of pressure, and you may be swayed and pressured to bend your principles. And number three, v'al tisvad l'rashos, don't become overly familiar with the government or people of power for the same reason. So now let's analyze each of these ideas. Ahovis hamalacha. So there's the Mishnah is teaching us about the importance of loving to do work. So on one hand, there's personal financial independence. Another idea is physical labor, malacha, not just business, but physical labor. One should appreciate the value of work that has physical labor to it, because it keeps a person healthy and physically active. Another idea is a very important one, and that is you should always love to do work, because the Gemara in Gittin, in Ksuvas, says that batala mevia lidei shiamum, that idleness can lead to shiamum, to like a kind of insanity or mental atrophy. In other words, it's very important to keep busy. It doesn't have to be with your work, a business, but always be busy. Always have something to do. Always be working. Be active. Always be active. Whether it's volunteering or whether it's even gardening, whatever your activity is, but keep yourself busy. Keep yourself busy. Very, very important. Certainly, as they come in the sense of responsibility, it's even more valuable. You can help the community. You can help those around you. So we have several ideas. It can mean love work in the sense of financial independence. It can mean love work in the sense of staying physically active. And number three, it also keeps the mind active as well. When a person is idle and he's not working, so the mind stops working. The mind is a muscle, and just like the body gets out of shape, so the mind also gets out of shape. So it's very important to keep active physically, mentally. It's a very, very important thing. This is such a great gift for those that invest their energies into Torah. And the more one does so, certainly it's easier when it was done earlier on and you get in the habit, but every day you're younger than tomorrow. You see it all the time as people get older. So it becomes, they have nothing to do if they don't have Torah. But when they have Torah, when they have davening, when they have shul, when they have things that they can invest their mind and their energy into, it's so valuable. It keeps the mind going. It gives value, gives meaning. it's a tremendous gift to have. Okay, and we know, when people have time on their hands, anyone in any communal position can tell you, someone with time on their hands usually starts making trouble. That's when the complaints start pouring in, and that's when the criticisms start coming, and you should have done this and should have done that, and all the problems start when people are busy. So they just kind of make things work, and they improve things instead of just kind of looking around them, all the flaws. People fall into a certain trap when they become observers in life. They're not physically and mentally busy, so they're just kind of watching like an observer everything around, and you just keep noticing this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. So it's very important to stay active. When the mind is active, it's moving forward. A person is moving forward. He's looking to build, not to destroy. Okay, the next clause here in the Mishnah is to be usnoas harabanos. So on a simple level, it means hate positions of authority. There's no question that so many people, get ruined. They get ruined, absolutely ruined by power. It doesn't take much. It does not take much. They can be promoted to manager, to president of a club. They can get promoted to just a little bit of authority. And that's all it takes. It goes to their head, and all of a sudden they think they're the boss, the head honcho. Their ego gets in the way of all of their relationships, of so many things. And power, and it doesn't have to be massive power. It takes very, very little, very, very little to ruin a person. This is the way of the Yetzer Hara. It wants, and man's ego is huge. So hate the positions of authority. It's a very important idea. So now some understand this in the sense of the rabbinate specifically. So it certainly carries that idea. Of power can go to your head. There's certainly a lot of truth to that. There's also another aspect. First of all, in general, the Gemara says that positions of power, so this causes man's life to be shortened. We learned that from Yosef. Yosef didn't live as long as everyone else. He had that position of authority. It takes a toll, physically, mentally, and we're not even talking about assassinations and all that kind of trouble. Just the physical and mental toll, even when you're in it for the right reasons, extremely taxing. The demands of the people continue to grow and grow and grow, and there's no cap. It's not a 9-to-5 job. So that's a tremendous thing. But also when it comes to Rabbana specifically, so some of the Mefarshim talk about the responsibility in the following sense, that one may be held accountable when others are not acting up to par. The Chafetz Chaim tells a story about a fellow who was sent to Siberia for 15 years of labor, and it was for tax evasion. And as he was being taken out, so he asked to meet with the Rav of the city. And of course, the Russians are more than happy to grant such a request as they're taking him out to Siberia. So what did he want from the Rav? So the Rav says, what do you want? He says, why didn't you tell me I wasn't allowed to do this? Rabbi's fault. It's always Rabbi's fault. So he said, you should have told me, you should have told me this is just wrong. And now I have to suffer and I have to go to Siberia because of you. So the Chafetz Chaim says that there is a tremendous responsibility, whether actually at fault or not, but certainly there may be many times where it's very difficult. It's one thing you're in a position of authority and you want to run things a certain way, but when you're talking about the most sensitive of topics, people and their morals and their religion, so it's very, very touchy. And Yet, if a person is in a position to do something and they don't, they may be held accountable. On the other hand, so when one of the Chafetz Chaim's Talmidim, one of his students, so he was offered a certain job in Rabbanus, and the Chafetz Chaim told him to take it. He says, but Rebbe, the responsibility, you taught us. So he says, the Mishnah says you should hate the Rabbanus, you should hate it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take the job. He says, who's more worthy? A person who understands the vast and massive responsibility and he doesn't want to do it because of that, or the person who doesn't recognize that it's a massive responsibility, the person who realizes that it's something, I don't want this massive responsibility, this is too big for me. So that's the person who has a sense of responsibility and should be taking it. The person who is just oblivious to that concept, he's not someone who should be involved in such positions. And to conclude, so the Medrash Shmuel, he reads this Mishnah to refer to two parts of the Rabbanos. He says, Ahov es hamalacha. You should love the work part of the Rabbanos, the learning, the teaching, the preparing, the giving the shiurim, the shailas involved. That's the part that involves you in Torah. That part of the work you should love. It's the authoritative part that you should hate. That's the power that goes to people's heads. Just leave you with a letter that the Rambam wrote to one of his students. A very powerful concept. Very powerful concept. It says here that he wrote to a student, Rabbi Yosef ibn Aknin. The Rambam told him, most people that, most people who take positions, people who take positions of government, most of them have lost their Yirah Shamayim, their fear of God. That's a very, very heavy statement. It's an extremely powerful, position to be in government. And, it's all different kinds of tests and trials, not something to be looking for. So we should keep that in mind. And let's just quickly finish off the mission. Don't make yourself known to the government. It's a very important idea in today's world. Stay out of the spotlight. It's not good when the Jews are in the spotlight. It's not good when you get on the news. It's not good when the government takes notice of you. It's just not good. It's not good. Stay out of the spotlight. That's the Mishnah saying, don't become so familiar with them. You think it's going to benefit you with your lobbying and all of that. Just stay out of the spotlight. It's going to work for you when it works for them. But as soon as it's not working for them, it's not going to work for you. So be very careful. Always best to lay low profile, staying out of the spotlight. You'll find much more success now. Okay.
There's a saying, Rabbi,